Very good morning to all. Today, on the fourth day of the of presentation of semester one, I, Trushali Dodia, going to present my presentation on the topic education and industrialism in hard times. These are my personal informations, and in this presentation, I am going to talk on the topics education, contrast, industrialism, play adaptation of hard times, comparison with cinema. So let's begin with the introduction of the novel Hard Times, which is written by Charles Dickens in 1854. Its original title is Hard Time for This Times. It is a representation of English society and satirizes the social and economic condition of the Victorian era. So Victorian era is the point where industrialism get its way. So in this novel, Hardy puts that situation in his novel. It moves around education and industrialism by the character Mr. Gradgrind, Mr. Bounderby, Miss Cecilia Jupe, Miss Louisa, and Stephen Blackpool. These are the important characters which helps to develop the plot of the novel. Uh, so, what is the main importance, main idea of education in this novel? The novel starts with a classroom, school classroom, where Mr. Gradgrind tells Mr. McChalkam child to teach students only facts, nothing but facts. So the very first lines are told by Mr. Gradgrind to Mr. Chalkam child is that now what I want is facts. Teach these boys and girls nothing but facts. Facts alone are wanted in life. Plant nothing else and root out everything else. You can only form the minds of reasoning animals upon facts. Nothing else will ever be of any service to them. So he is giving importance to facts rather than imagination or fancy. And he constantly emphasizing these ideas to the society, to his fellow Mr. Chokamchand, and to the students. And that's the same idea he is applying to his children also. The novel presents contrast by its title. The novel is divided into three parts: sowing, reaping, and garnering. And the first chapter of the first part and the last part in chapter 1, both are having contrast. In first part, sowing, chapter number 1 title is the one thing needful, and in the last part, chapter 1 is another thing is needful. So how this idea from the one thing is needful, that is fact, and at the end another thing needful is fancy or imagination. So in the second chapter, the first part is titled as murdering the innocent. So it moves to facts to murdering the innocents, how this only facts can harm children. Where in this scene, Mr. Gradgrind asks Miss Cecilia Jupe to define the horse, as she is her father is working in a circus with horse, take care of horse, but she fails to give explanation of horses, and another student gave it properly, but it is that she knows better than him. He just have only explanation, not he has not information so closely as Cecilia Jupe has. Mr. Get then applies this idea everywhere in the marriage of his daughter Miss Louisa also. So while conversing with Louisa, Mr. Gradgrind tells her to be logical. Think about logic, that if you will, he is Mr. Bounderby is rich, and he can, if you will marry him, he will give a job to your brother Tom. So there only he applies facts rather than fancy and logic. He gets complete failure in his ideology, that we can say at the end of the novel. In the last chapter, he realizes that the importance of emotions and emotions, feelings, and emotions. So in the one thing needful is fact, another thing needful is emotions, feelings, and sorry, in the first chapter of the last part of the novel, Murdering Innocence, Hardy presents the importance of emotions and imagination. I have quoted the line from the novel: "There is a wisdom of the head, and that there is a wisdom of heart. I have not supported so, but as I have said, I mistrust myself now. I have supposed the head to be all sufficient. It may not be all sufficient. How can I venture this morning to say it is? If that other kind of wisdom should be what I have neglected and should be the instinct that is wanted, Louisa." So he now realizes that only head can't work in your life. It can't be sufficient in anyone's life, though he is not supporting his arguments also, but he is saying that the facts and head is not only the thing that can be helpful in your life, but wisdom of the heart is also important. There in the novel we can see contrast. So I have divided this presentation in first education, then industrialism, and then I have merged it together. The novel is divided into three parts, which presents natural process: sowing, reaping, and garnering. All three are the part of the novel three parts of the novel. It is titled by this. Titles, Hardy is criticizing unnatural method of production that factory system represents, and also unnatural process of education. Both things go parallel in this novel. The another contrast is circus and industry. Circus is full of imagination. It is full of imagination, while in industry you have to apply your mind much more than your imagination. Now let's look at industrialism, what it means. Industrialism means manufacturing activity or productive or profit making enterprises. In industry makes products. The novel presents by industrialism dynamic of capitalist productions. In the novel, Hardy uses a imaginary town named Cocktown, and we also have a concept of hand. Workers are named as hand. So hands are working, and industrialists are having profits of their hand, workers' hand. Human life works as per the clock. In this novel by Mr. Gradgrind's behavior and all that, we can see that, and even in our time, we are working in the as per the clock. In Hard Times and Structure of Industrialism, the novel as Factory, Patricia Johnson argues that Koch suggests both fuel that stokes the furnaces and the waste product that is left after the process had been completed. So Koch means with a waste product. He states what Charles Dickens has answered to the question of what is the true nature of the fuel that is consumed. So Dickens gives replies of this answer that both fuel and waste product of the factory system is a human life. In human life, we are having the same concept, and as per Dickens's uh, as per Dickens, a society is a factory, and in this novel, he presented Louisa is a fuel for the system of marriage and reproduction. Uh, Now let's connect it with play adaptation of the novel, which is a musical play adaptation. It goes with five. It follows five songs, which are which are very connected with the novel, and it presents a clear, crystal clear like idea of the novel. Though it is adapted in play, it is a very good adaptation of the novel. I have quoted three songs, and from there I have quoted some lines. So emotions, imagination या compassion से कभी किसी का पेट भरता है क्या? That means only Mr. Grant in the initial stage says that only facts can give you employment, wages, emotions, imagination can't give you anything. So the same line presence in the is presented in the play. And the second one is बोए पेड़ बबूल बोए पेड़ बबूल का सोचो उसमें आम कहाँ से आया, सोचो उसमें आम कहाँ से आया. This lines are connected with this sowing, reaping and garnering. In the initial part, Mr. Grind is sowing seeds of facts, and at the end it gets complete failure. So it is saying that if you will that kind of bubble tree, then you can't get mangoes out of that. Third one is घर में किस चीज की कमी, ये सब कुछ जो हमें सिखाती, कहाँ से मिलती फुर्सत ऐसी, या इतना ही कोई बता दो कौन सी ऐसी शिक्षा है जो मिली नहीं इन्हें कभी. When Mrs. Gradgrind is falls ill, and she just think that what kind of education is not her children are not getting. So there was a complete failure of Mr. Gradgrind's ideology, and that's how she gets ill. Now I would like to compare it with modern cinema. I have taken two movies, Tare Zameen Par and Three Idiots. In Tare Zameen Par, Amir Khan, male protagonist, is constantly focusing on art, not in fact-based education. If you just want to know facts, you just want that kind of education, your children can't do progress. A child named Ishan is not having any interest in school education as Cecilia Joe. Though there is a contrast between both of them, but still we can consider it as a representation of the novel. We can say that the idea of this can be adapted from the novel also. In the movie Three Idiots, we are also having the same concept. It is we can connect Virus's character with Mr. Gradgrind, but in both these works, Mr. Gradgrind and Virus both are just want progress of their children or their students, and it is unconsciously done. And three protagonists are Mr. Rancho is constantly saying their friends that please focus on what you want to learn. Don't go into the field that you have no interest in. That so we can connect both this films in this with this novel. Uh, in our time, we are having new educational policy 2020 22. So as per this new education policy, the major emphasis is given to value based education rather than just facts. So only facts cannot help you to reach where you want. For that, value based education is must, and not down fact is very much important. In this century, we are all aspirant of government jobs and other things, and for that hard facts are very much important. We cannot say that hard facts is are not important in our life. Both have facts and imagination, both have a same part in our life. If we are having only knowledge of facts, then it will not work, and if we are having only imagination, it also will not help us. So both things should go parallel, and we cannot say that one thing is good or another thing is bad. I would like to give an example of our just our youth festival 2022, where two skit performances were there based on this education. First one was about a costly education, where parents are constantly working and doing struggle in their fields to give education to their children, but at the end they fails, and their children get nothing. So we can say that only facts cannot help you. You have your own skills. Skill based education is must, but facts is also important as that. I would like to conclude my presentation with this image where three components of creativity is given: knowledge, which is expertise, motivation, creative thinking skills, means flexibility of imagination, and when these three things merge together, then where the magic happens. If these three things will go together, then and only then we can be able to get fruits out of that. So to conclude my presentation, I will say that facts are not only important, imagination are not only important. When both goes together, it will work definitely. These are my works which I have cited in my presentation. Thank you. Now I'm open for questions.
Shari, my question is how industrialism and education can cooperatively.
How education and how industrialism and education can go cooperatively. See, in that time also, in Victorian era, industrialism get its way, and education was there also. And even in this century, education and industrialism goes together. We are why we are learning, why we are here to study. We just want to go somewhere to earn money, right? So industrialism is as important as anything, and education is the thing which brings us something what we want in our life.
So, Shari, uh, my question is that Mr. Great Grand applies this idea in his daughter's marriage. Is it appropriate because she is not happy with her marriage? My question is, Mr. Great Grand applies his facts idea in his daughter's marriage. Is it appropriate?
Hina, when we considered appropriateness or inappropriateness, if Mr. Great Grand wants her daughter to be married and to be happy, right? So his idea is not wrong, but his way of doing is wrong. He don't want to look at the another aspect of the development of his daughter. So if we will consider Mr. Great Grand as having interest in good well-being of the of his daughter, then it is appropriate, but at the same time he is having no look at the another aspect, which is imagination, what his daughter wants in her life. So if he is not considering what his daughter wants in her life, so it is inappropriate if we will look at this at that point. Thank you so much.